Have you ever noticed that some people don't have to raise their voice, show off their money, or demand attention? Yet the moment they walk into a room, everyone seems to respect them? What's strange is that most people think respect comes from power, popularity, or confidence. But psychology says something completely different. In fact, one tiny habit can make people lose respect for you within seconds. And almost everyone does it without realizing it. By the end of this video, you'll see people in a completely different way. And you might even discover why some people have never taken you as seriously as they should. Imagine two people entering the same meeting. The first walks in talking loudly, trying to impress everyone. They laugh the hardest, tell the biggest stories, and make sure every eye is on them. The second barely says a word. They quietly greet people, sit down, and simply observe. Now here's the surprising part. By the end of the meeting, more people trust the second person. Why? Because the human brain doesn't automatically respect the loudest person. It respects the person who appears most secure. Psychologists call this the confidence paradox. People who constantly try to prove themselves often look like they're seeking approval. And the moment your actions begin asking for approval, people subconsciously stop seeing you as high value. Think about it. Have you ever met someone who kept reminding everyone how successful they were, how smart they were, how busy they were? The more they talked, the less believable they became. Real confidence rarely introduces itself. It simply exists. This leads to the first secret of people who earn instant respect. They don't chase attention. Attention is loud. Respect is quiet. Here's a simple experiment. The next time you're in a group conversation, notice who speaks first. Now notice who speaks last. Very often, the person who waits before speaking gets more attention when they finally do. Why? Because silence creates mystery, and mystery creates value. Our brains naturally become curious about people who don't reveal everything immediately. It's the same reason movie trailers never show the ending. The unknown is irresistible. This doesn't mean staying silent all the time. It means speaking with intention instead of speaking to fill silence. Now here's something even more surprising. Most people accidentally destroy respect by talking too much about themselves. The brain has a hidden rule. People remember how you made them feel more than what you said. Someone who asks thoughtful questions often becomes more respected than someone with all the answers. Think about your favorite teacher. Were they respected because they spoke nonstop, or because they made you think? The people who gain respect know that conversations aren't performances, they're discoveries, and discoveries are far more memorable. But there's another behavior that's even more powerful. Imagine someone insults you. Most people react instantly. They defend themselves, they argue, they explain. But someone who naturally commands respect often does something unexpected. They pause, just for a second. That pause changes everything, because emotional control sends a message without saying a single word. It tells everyone watching, my emotions don't control me. Psychologists have found that emotional stability is one of the strongest signals of competence. The calmer person often appears more powerful, even when they say less. That's why judges stay calm. Experienced leaders stay calm. Elite athletes stay calm under pressure. Because panic spreads uncertainty. Calm spreads confidence. Now here's a question. Why do we automatically assume someone who remains calm knows what they're doing, even if they don't? Because our brains evolved to follow the person who looked safest during uncertainty. Thousands of years ago, if danger appeared, everyone watched the calmest person. If they panicked, everyone panicked. That instinct never disappeared. It simply followed us into modern life. Another hidden habit of respected people is surprisingly simple. They keep their promises, not just the big promises, the tiny ones. I'll call you tomorrow. I'll send that tonight. I'll be there at 6. Every time you keep a promise, your brain builds a reputation. Every broken promise quietly destroys it. Trust isn't built through dramatic moments. It's built through hundreds of invisible moments nobody talks about. And here's the scary part. People usually don't tell you when trust disappears. They simply stop believing you. Now let's talk about something almost everyone misunderstands. Being nice. We've all been told that nice people earn respect. But psychology says that's only half true. There's a huge difference between kindness and people-pleasing. Kindness comes from strength. People-pleasing comes from fear. One earns respect, the other often loses it. Imagine someone always says yes. They never disagree. They apologize constantly. They avoid conflict at any cost. At first they seem kind, but over time, people stop valuing them. Because every yes tells the brain something. My needs matter less than yours. Respect requires boundaries. Not walls. Boundaries. The people everyone respects know exactly what they will accept and what they won't, without becoming rude, without becoming arrogant, just clear. And clarity is incredibly attractive. Now here's a fascinating experiment. Researchers found that people often respected individuals who admitted they didn't know something, more than people who pretended to know everything. Sounds backwards, doesn't it? But honesty signals security. Pretending signals insecurity. The strongest people aren't afraid to say, "I don't know. I was wrong. I learned something today." Ironically, admitting weakness often makes people appear stronger, because fake perfection is exhausting. Authenticity is unforgettable. Here's another habit you probably never noticed. Respected people don't compete with everyone. Have you ever met someone who turns every conversation into a competition? You climbed a mountain? They climbed too. You had a hard week? They had a harder one. You got promoted? They almost became CEO. The constant need to win reveals something unexpected. Neediness. People who truly respect themselves don't need to prove they're better than everyone else. Comparison is loud. Confidence is silent. There's one final psychological secret, and it might be the most important one. People who earn instant respect have something psychologists call internal validation. Most people let strangers decide how valuable they feel. One compliment makes their day. One criticism ruins their week. Their identity changes depending on other people's opinions. But respected people work differently. Feedback matters. Approval doesn't control them. Imagine carrying a compass instead of following every passing crowd. The crowd changes direction every minute. The compass doesn't. When your decisions come from your values instead of other people's reactions. People notice. Not because you're trying to impress them, but because certainty is magnetic. The truth is, respect isn't something you demand. It isn't something you buy. It isn't something you fake. It's the invisible result of hundreds of small psychological signals that tell the world one simple message. I know who I am. And here's the part most people never realize. The people who spend their lives chasing respect usually never catch it. The people who become worthy of respect rarely have to ask for it. So the next time you walk into a room, don't ask yourself, how do I make people like me? Ask yourself something far more powerful. What am I doing that tells people I don't already respect myself? Because the moment you stop begging for respect, you quietly become the kind of person people can't help but respect.